All right, so there were some headlines. So we talk about these?
Yeah, let's talk about some headlines. Let's start off with Ron Rivera saying that Sam Howell will start out as QB1 heading into the offseason. Here's Rivera talking about that on PFT Live.
How much of Sam Howell's performance in that final regular season game helps you decide on what the path of the position is for 23?
Well, you know, to answer that, Mike, the biggest thing we decided is he will start off as QB1. He will most certainly get the first opportunity. We go into OTAs and minicamp, you know, he'll be QB1. He'll fight for that position. We'll give him every opportunity to earn it, and we'll see what happens once we get into training camp and through it.
And just so I understand what that means, because we've got, I think, an unprecedented quarterback musical chairs coming in free agency. You're not in that this year.
No,
you're out of it.
No, I think the biggest thing is, you know, is we have to find a guy to come in that's going to compete, you know, but in terms of finding a guy that you're going to have to spend a lot of capital on, no, we're not looking for a guy we've got to spend a lot of capital on. We're looking for a guy who's going to come in and compete.
You know who could come in and compete? That was the coach. That was Ron Rivera talking about the quarterback situation in Washington. You know who could come in and compete?
Who's that, Matthew?
Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel like Carson Wentz is not going to be the next Super Bowl winning quarterback of the Washington Commanders.
Does not feel like it. Feels like Carson Wentz will be playing for another team next year. We'll see. But he basically said, like, listen, they're not trying to go after Derek Carr or even Daniel Jones. They're not going to go after somebody that's going to cost a lot of money. When he says go out and compete, to me it feels like that's a you know, Mitch Trubisky type.
Mike White?
Yeah, Mike White. You know, Taylor Heineke can compete. Taylor Heineke beat out Carson Wentz this year for the Commanders. You know, it's interesting. I will tell you that talking with a friend of mine who's a draft scout prior to the season, and he felt like Washington got an absolute steal with Sam Howell and just said, like, if Sam Howell gets in the game, he's not coming out.
Yep.
And so far, he hasn't come out. So who knows? Maybe my Commanders, I mean, it's interesting. He went in the 5th round because he had that bad year in North Carolina, but the year before, he was spoken about as a potential first-round pick.
Yeah, and also he violently outplayed Dak Prescott in the one time he did get on the field. He was the better quarterback in that game. And yeah, I mean, it's difficult because Derek Carr is a better quarterback than Sam Howell at this point. I'm not sure the Commanders are one quarterback away from competing for the Super Bowl, so why not see what you have in Sam Howell?
But I'll be honest with you. They're not one quarterback away, but they're not. It's not much more.
No.
I mean, I think they need to bolster the offensive line. I wouldn't mind strengthening the linebacking core a little bit as well. But you know, Chase Young will be back healthy next year as well. Their secondary played well. They have some nice finds there as well. Obviously, Jahan Dotson was a really nice draft pick this year to complement Terry McLaurin. I mean, they have some. Curtis Samuel stayed healthy this year and played well. So there's some weapons on offense, and the defense has the potential to be a top 5 defense. So they need a quarterback.
Yeah,
first and foremost.
There's the hope of having hope in Washington. I think you're not quite there yet. You're not quite at hope. But
look, speaking as a Commanders fan, the real hope is we have new ownership.
Yes.
The hope is new ownership, and then everything falls from that. Speaking of the Commanders, they have an open offensive coordinator position. I've made my feelings clear that I feel like Scott Turner was thrown under the bus given what he had to work with. I think Scott Turner did a nice job this past year. He didn't decide to start Carson Wentz in that last game against Cleveland that cost him the playoff spot. But anyway, the fact of the matter is the coordinator job, the offensive coordinator job is open in Washington, and both the Commanders and Baltimore Ravens see Eric Bieniemy as a prime candidate.
Yep. So Eric Bieniemy, who is, I mean, it's always difficult to separate him from Patrick Mahomes, where it's the same thing with Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers, but certainly he is a guy who has been in the mix for a long time.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.